Hi, Pastor Ralph with you again. Perhaps you can remember some of the automotive failures that led to scandals. The exploding gas tank in Pintos that could have been fixed with a relatively inexpensive part, maybe $1 or as much as $11. And General Motors that used motor mounts from the 50s and continued to use them into the 60s when engines became much more powerful. And they had some catastrophic failures that led to accidents that led to deaths. Well, it's really easy to look at what manufacturers have done and with shame, well, how in the world could they have done it? What went on then in them that they didn't fix things, that they didn't do it right? In the short term, there were these pressures. Well, it might cost more to do the right thing. And maybe we're not going to get caught. Maybe if we just leave it alone, it'll go away. I mean, isn't that some of the way we all behave? We've done things and we've hurt people, but maybe if somebody doesn't tell on us and maybe if we just pretend that we haven't done it and hide it, we won't be caught. Sometimes we don't really want to do right things. Jesus found a person for whom that was true, a person who could give right answers, a lawyer in the law. And he answered Jesus well about what to do for eternal life and keeping the law. Well, there it is. Love God with your heart, soul, strength, and mind, and your neighbor as yourself. Who's my neighbor? Who's my neighbor is the question the man asked, and Jesus told a story. And in the story, the one who proved to be the neighbor was, for this religious leader in the law, a despised person, a Samaritan, somebody who, with a group of people and Israelites who had come back to the land who were mixed people and didn't know the right religious practices and so forth. But this Samaritan man knew the right thing to do when he came upon a person who had been beaten up and left half dead. He took care of him, he bandaged him, put him on his own animal, brought him to an inn, took care of him, and the next day, in Luke chapter 10, verse 35, he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper. Looked after him, he said, and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense you may have. Which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers? Jesus asked. And the expert in the law replied, well, the one who had mercy on him. The tragedy is, when you see that story, don't you and I respond with a lot of joy and even admiration? Wow, it was amazing how far that person went to care for another person. But why don't we do that sometimes? Why is it if it's the wrong person, or why is it if we really don't want to do the right thing, do we find excuses and make them up? It makes life more difficult for us with Jesus and with others and with the community ultimately, doesn't it? Just like with the car manufacturer that won't take care of a defect. You don't take care of the defect, but it still is going to come back and eventually bite you, and it's going to cost you. Well, there's a lot to be said about that with us as well. And for a person who wanted to justify himself, Jesus helped point out that you can't justify yourself when you don't do the right things. Well, Jesus was all about grace, and so it wasn't for us about doing all the right things. Ultimately, it was about Jesus doing the right thing and providing grace to us. But something marvelous, there is still that call to do the right thing, to be loving as the Samaritan was loving. So this week or tomorrow or in a particular day, think about a person that you come upon that you have the opportunity to do the right thing for. Is there anything stopping you or me from doing it? So let's keep going. And I'll see you tomorrow.